Hey folks, been a while since I've done a video, and there's reasons for that. Had several issues happen with the backhoe. Some just wear and tear, some just happenstance, but basically if we look down here, right here is a tie rod end. It looks different on this because it's four-wheel drive than what you may have seen for your car, unless you got a four-wheel drive vehicle. They look pretty similar on a four-wheel drive truck. So that broke, so I had to put a new one of those on. Of course, every time you have to order a part, it takes several days for it to get here, and for the part of Texas that I'm in, it takes probably an extra day. So right here, what we've got is my latest situation that just happened just now. I blew a hose. Reason I'm blowing hoses is one, the type of work I'm doing. Number two, this machine hasn't been worked like this in several years, and it's a 20-some-year-old machine. I've replaced several hydraulic hoses, and as you make those hoses good, it puts more pressure on the other hoses that might not be quite as good than they were getting. So what happens is you end up blowing some hoses. So unfortunately, every time I blow them, I lose valuable hydraulic fluid. So I'm going to have to pull that hose off, and probably it's hose that goes with it. There's one that's an inlet and one that's an outlet. I find it's best to just replace both of those at the same time, because unless it looks like one has been replaced already or something. So anyway, I'm going to have to pull that off, and I don't feel like doing it today. It's too hot, it's too muggy. So I figured I'd do a video. Speaking of driving and four-wheel drive vehicles, my black truck that you've seen in other videos, I've still got it, but it's a two-wheel drive Ram 1500. This is heavier duty. It's a four-wheel drive, and I'm coming up on when I'm going to have to start moving my restoration vehicles up here, and the 1500, the transmission just doesn't like hauling some of the heavier vehicles. So that, and I really do need a four-wheel drive here. And I happened upon this truck one day when I was going to the hardware store to get something, and some couple was out putting stickers in the windows to put it up for sale, and I stopped and talked to them, and we made a deal. So it's got a few issues. I've already rebuilt all the steering components, almost all of them, and I've got a couple small ones coming in, and that's not so much a safety issue on the things that are coming in on that. It's more of a irritation issue because there's a rattling. This was originally an Iowa truck, so it's got the northern cab corner issue here and the outer rocker. So I'm going to have to replace those, but it's about a $125 part. That's not that big a deal. So I haven't ordered those, but I'll have to order those. I'm getting it mechanically sound. That looks bad, but it's not. It's not bad, and structurally it doesn't matter. So, and it's got a little bit of surface rust behind these little panels, which I'll fix, and it's got a couple of dings, and it's got a small amount of hail damage on the hood. So I'm just going to fix them all, and then when I fix the rust on the rockers and such, I'll just spray the whole truck. and I paint it myself. Keep in mind I restore cars, so while this isn't being restored, it is some of the same type of things. So all in all though, I mean, now this truck has 196,000 miles on it. The seats don't look like it. The interior's mint. It's a well taken care of truck. And the other thing I like about it is my Ram is a single cab, and this has the extended cab in the back, so I can put the dog's crate in the back and I can get my console back. So anyway, that was something I just couldn't pass up. I got too good a price on it. You know, when I factor in the things I've got to do to it, which I probably would have had to do to some other truck anyway, it's still well worth it. So I'm probably going to have to, by the time I've got ball joints and the upper control arms coming, because they've never been done. They told me they'd never even done an alignment on this thing. So now it didn't need an alignment at the time, but it was all over, the front end was all over the place, so it was very clear that the front end was shot. So I mean, I didn't even test drive it really, because I was filthy. I was coming from the property and I was filthy, so I didn't test drive it, but I wasn't worried about it because I can fix it. And for the price, I would have bought it anyway. So once I drove it later that day, it became apparent to me that the front end needed to be redone and all of that. Now, like I said, I've already done the steering components, and by that I mean you know, tie rod ends and idler arm and pitman arm and center link, and if you don't know what those are, it's just too difficult for me to try to explain it to you. You can look them up online. So that's all been replaced, and I'll do the control arms. The trailer hitch is not as heavy duty as I want, and it's got some rust on it. So I got a new trailer hitch coming. It's also got a gooseneck hitch, so I can pull pretty much anything I want to with it. And I'm going to reinforce the frame as well. So here's what I was working on when the hydraulic line just blew. As you can see, I didn't notice it right away, so I lost some hydraulic fluid over here. The boom started shimmying, and I was like, what's going on with that? That doesn't sound good. Well, I was digging out these two stumps, and to give you some reference to, if you wanted to go back and look at some of the older videos so you can see what this looked like before. Let me back up for a minute. Like I said, there's a reason I haven't done any videos in the last, say, month. That's because I had several things go wrong with the backhoe that I had to fix and fix and fix. Then I had, and it was like one thing after another, like 3 times. And then I've been working with it for about the past week since I got it back online, and now I blew this other one, which I actually expected because I've replaced so much stuff now. Like I said, it's putting pressure on these other hoses. And even when I replace these two, it's not going to be the last ones that go. And you can tell these are original hoses from when it was manufactured, so it's not surprising. So anyway, I don't recall whether you've seen this hole, but this was all mined out. This used to be where I was driving up and down. I've still got final grading to do, and I got to put some more material on this to make it the level that it needs, but I've done quite a bit of work on the driveway. Took out these 2 trees that were over here, and as you can see, I've dug out a lot of iron ore there. And I've decided, you know, you're probably asking, well, Bob, that's a lot of space to fill the dirt back in. What are you going to do about that? Well, I've come up with a plan, and it doesn't involve putting the dirt back. What it involves is using the contour of the land as it exists and the fact that I've got a creek. If we walk over here, and again now we're walking up to the creek and the culvert that I've put over the creek. As you can see right over there is a low area, right, that's maybe about, right by the creek, it's maybe about 4 feet above the creek level. So what I'm going to do is clear the trees out, all of them, on this one corner over to that low level. There's like a little peninsula there, and then there's another little peninsula here that meets up with where I've already been digging, and that is going to be a pond. So rather than fill that back in, quite to the contrary, it's going to get dug out even more. So that's going to be cool, because I'll have a little pond that's going to be spring fed. And what will happen is it'll run in, the creek will run into it, and then once the thing fills up, it will also exit out to the creek just the way it does now. So I'm not diverting anything. Also, we're now on the back section of the property that I was working on before, and I pretty much broke through, at least in one spot, where we're going to cross over to the final back piece where the house is going to be. And over to where I got to put another little culvert in. But a lot of work has been done since last I filmed, even though I've lost a couple of weeks worth of downtime on the backhoe, and pretty much when the backhoe is down, I'm down. Took out a monster pine today. Had already taken the one out next to it. Those two stumps up on the hill there. The one on the right is the big one. The one on the left I had cut down the other day. And fortunately that line didn't blow while I was doing that, because I was using the backhoe to put pressure on it to make sure it went the way I wanted it to go. So, you know, essentially I'm building a road on my property. So we had rain a couple nights ago, and I had spread some new stuff on here that had too much sand in it, and that's why it looks a little rough. But so I raised up this section here to meet up with the middle portion there, and that's pretty close. I got to go a little bit more. I raised up this section so there wasn't quite as, there used to be a dip in this down at the base. So I raised this up so it meets up here, and I'm also got to fill in this side part here to raise that up a little bit, and then this portion here on the left hand side over here, I've got to raise that up a little bit. But right now I'm leaving it the way it is, because that's my road to get down to how I get down to the pit. That's going to ultimately become where I have to get the backhoe into to dig out for the pond. So now my backhoe will dig 15 feet deep from wherever it's sitting. So if I get down to the level close to the creek, or a couple feet above it, I can dig as much as 15 feet deep. Now I don't know that I want my pond to be that deep. 10, 11 feet is probably plenty. I'm not going to fish on it. I'm not going to boat on it. It's more for putting out fires if I happen to have a fire, and also to look at. So, and also in a pinch, if something would happen with the water supply, that I actually have water on the property that's basically in a reservoir that could be used, and that would last me for a very long time, well, indefinitely, because that creek runs year round. So that's that. And as you can see over here, I've been cutting down many trees. So I'm accumulating the logs that are gonna go on the mill and make my lumber for building. I cut down about 4 or 5 trees over here the other day, which I believe in a previous video I'd said I was going to cut down before I put the sawmill up, but I forgot about it, put the sawmill up anyway. But I got the backhoe behind them and put pressure on them and pretty much make sure it goes the way that I want it to go, no matter what. Things I'm focusing on. Yesterday it was too wet out because, like I said, a couple days ago we had rain all day. So it was too wet to actually try to do road work or anything like that. So I decided to cut down some trees. And so I took out 4 or 5 trees over here and dug out the stumps. And you can see the fresh dirt and so on. Now some of these stumps were already, like this stump here is not fresh. This was existing, that I had just got tired of doing stumps back when I first bought the property, and I left it there, so that one came out. But there's some stumps over here that I took out as well that were left. Over there in that corner is where the trees actually came out, and I took out stumps there. So why am I bothering with these stumps right now? Okay, we're back up on the front part out by the road, and right there you can see where my mailbox is coming up on the right there. And so this is the original driveway, which will end up being the back way to get into the property, because down here will be where the shop is. So this would not be an entrance I'd use to get to the house. This would be if I'm bringing cars up or whatever. So basically, let's walk down there. I decided to keep, originally I was thinking about getting rid of this opening so I only had one driveway, but then I started thinking, well, it'd be better to have 2, because then if I had big trucks or was pulling a big trailer, I could come in one way and just circle around and go out the other way. So I decided to keep it. And what's going to happen is the driveway is going to continue this way, the back driveway. And so obviously all this is going to get graded out and then covered up with a road base of iron ore. And there's a stump in there I still got to take out and get rid of this mound. And there's this, they had a pile of limbs and stuff that are still somewhat in there that I got to get rid of and throw in the pile. So that corner is going to get cleared out, and it's going to come around here anyway and circle around somewhere over here. Well, part of why I took out these trees here yesterday is that I'm going to create a pad over here right along this tree line, a little bit away from the tree, so I don't have to worry about limbs falling down during a windstorm or something and coming through the roof. But this is where I'll be parking my travel trailer while I'm building the rest of the stuff, and it'll be out of my way, and the driveway will come right alongside of it basically and circle around and meet up with the other driveway over here. And that way, if I ever had to, like I said, I can circle back out, and that driveway leads back down to the other entrance, and that'll be the main way I get up to the shop. But the shop will be right here where all this green stuff is, and probably partly where the over to partly where the burn pile is, and it would be kind of angled. So, and then the sawmill is going to stay where it is, except it's going to have a roof put on it. And so I had all this front part cleared out, but I found that stuff grows pretty quick here in terms of certain things. So I'm having to go back over and clear it out yet again. That's where we're at, and great deal of work as I look at it that's been done over the past 4 to 6 weeks since I last filmed anything, even though I lost a couple of weeks of time waiting on parts and stuff. So, and then I spent one day fixing the truck. I spent time fixing the backhoe when I had to fix the various parts and stuff. But as you look back now, all the way down, you can kind of start to see where it's gonna, like what the entrance is gonna look like without, if you envision there's a pond over here as you come up, because the pond's gonna curve around. It's gonna take up this whole corner over here, and what I'll do on the banks of where the driveways are is I'll angle those down and fill that back in with clay, so that I got a nice safety barrier. And then along the pond, I will put just kind of like an old-fashioned fence of some kind, so that it's not going to keep a vehicle from going through it, but it'll give you a guide so people stay alert and such like that, and so I stay alert for that matter. And it could keep you from going in there if you happen to go slowly backwards. But if you came running through here with any speed, you crash right through a wood fence. Anyhow, that's where we're at, and I think I'm going to just cut it off. And it's muggy, and I'm going to go get cleaned up and relax, because I can't work today. I can't work tomorrow. I may be able to come over part of the day tomorrow and get that hose off, or those hoses off, and then my place where I was getting hoses got closed down by their corporate headquarters, so now I got to drive about, instead of driving 3.5 miles down the road, I got to drive about 20 miles each way. So I'll do that. Well, anyway, till next time.